I'm disappointed in Kyle Kalinske the most. I'm disappointed in the Majority Report. I'm really disappointed in Emma Vigeland. I'm disappointed in a lot of people because I felt like they just didn't take any of this stuff as seriously as they should have. So I guess I'll just probably the best place to start is the Graham Platner allegations or accusations, not allegations. Let me see if I can find the original one. I think it was the Politico one that particularly took off like a couple days ago. I want to say like 1 or 2 days ago. Yeah, it was this one. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. The Maine Democrat denied the allegations and said any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. The woman who dated a Maine U.S. Senate candidate, Graham Platner, says that he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections and allegation. Platner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny, I think it's Raskop, but I might be mistaken, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man Raskop dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident and reviewed documents, including emails between them and her therapist and messages between Raskot and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Plattner years before. Oh, was Rasko? Okay, I apologize. Years before he ran for office. She said that she had an on and off relationship with Plattner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself onto her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being very forceful of me. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, this is no longer my choice. Plattner denied the allegations. These allegations are troubling, serious, and false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. She previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Plattner to the New York Times, which said she didn't want to go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Wow, shocking. It's almost like it's the same thing that people have said for years, which is most victims do not want to come forward because then when you come forward, you are only known as the victim or the sexual assault victim forever. Then Roscoe said she felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Fifield, who alleged Plattner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. And I gotta say, man, we're gonna get to all of it really fast. We're gonna get to all of it soon. But something I did not like about general coverage of Plattner was that when the first set of allegations about Plattner came out, the number of leftists that came out and said this is just a smear campaign and we shouldn't give it the time of day was insane. Like, I felt like I was, the one friend that's too woke. That's how I felt. I let me pull it up. Here it is. This is from the article that I was posting. The woker, if you will. I mean, we'll get to this in a moment, but this part. In the article, Fifield alleged that Plattner frequently grabbed her by the shoulders and once yanked her out of a taxi by her wrist. The article continued. During one argument, she recalled, he twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, held the door closed from the other side so she couldn't get out, telling her to remain there until she was calm. And I'm going to be honest, I saw so many people say this and were like, okay, so like he told her to be calm. Like, that's really not that big of a deal. And I'm like, you're going to ignore all of the context? You're going to just ignore the only thing in here that I think like maybe I can understand different contexts would play out differently, where he yanked her out of the taxi by her wrist. I can understand that one, maybe. I can understand situations where maybe that one ended up being, because like, I don't know about you guys, anyone here who's had physical contact with other human beings ever, maybe my wrists are just particularly dainty, although I don't think so. Sometimes you can grab other people's wrists and they can grab your wrists. And it's still like, owie, wait. Wait, can you be a little bit softer? That kind of hurt. Ow. your wrists are just kind of like, if you're not jacked, your wrist can just kind of hurt more than normal for like whatever. So like I'm like, okay, I understand. Like that one is fine. That one's like I don't care about that one. The other two are like insane. Frequently grabbed her by the shoulders. I think it's that like a lot of people haven't read into or know a lot about like physical abuse or domestic abuse, and people who've dealt with domestic abuse will tell you that holding is the and like forcefully grabbing someone is the step before physically hurting someone. Whether that's strangling someone or punching them or slapping them. Restraining is right before that. And a friend of mine who went through domestic abuse talked to me about her experience. But you can also look into this besides one anecdote I'm going to share. And she was talking about how like it's very easy in the moment to think like, oh, this is fine. Like they're not like hurting me or they're not trying to hurt me or whatever. But that can escalate so quickly. And if you look at the instances where people have strangled their partners or people have strangled people that they've been with romantically or sexually, it's been months of lead up with physically restraining. And the fact that so many people wrote off like, because this is a violation of one person's consent, right? To physically restrain someone else. Like you're violating their consent and telling them, I don't care what you want. I'm going to get what I want by physically dominating you. And it's like, really, that person wouldn't, you guys don't think that there's anything suspicious about that person? There's nothing suspicious about that character? All right. Okay, man. All right. Okay. And then I wanted to continue this stuff. One time I called the hotline because I was trying to explain away an instance of abuse like that. And she changed my life when the woman on the other end told me one time is still one time too many. Yeah. Plattner also said that he would rape anyone who would break into his home. It's like, all right. Yeah, the full story is like insane. Anyways, moving on from that point. The reason why everyone wrote that off was because they were like, well, how do we know that Fifield isn't lying and making all this stuff up? How do we know that? And it's like, if she was going to lie, why wouldn't she just lie about him assaulting her? Like, I don't understand. Why would she lie about what? Fifield further recalled Plattner would sharpen an axe while watching TV and left an AR-15 lying around in his Washington apartment. She said he described women as hatchet wounds, a crude reference to female anatomy, and repeatedly asserted if anyone broke in here, I would rape them, adding that this would not be in a sexual way, not in a gay way. Fifield told the paper he was like, I would rape them to show them I'm dominant. What? The military guy who described his time at war as the most fun ever and that he loved combat and it was the best time of his life. That guy? That guy would say these things? No. No, dude. No. Exactly. The claims were way more mild than they could have been. She would have gone harder if she was just going to make stuff up anyways. It's just like, but like no one was willing to listen to any of these arguments because he was like people's golden boy for a period of time. So anytime you try and talk about this, it's like, oh, so you're just going to trust anyone? It's like, I'm just saying, if you just are at the point of, well, she's clearly making all this stuff up, why wouldn't she make up something more insane than that? Huh? Okay. All right. I guess. Yeah, sure. People would call you a lib if you brought up any criticism. Jesus. All right. Continuing here. Rasco said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman. Fifield, who alleged Plattner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. My part of the story was just a read over, and the story was Lindsay and the accusations of her being politically motivated. Roscoe said she was torn over coming forward in part because she agrees with Plattner politically. One of the reasons they didn't come forward sooner was the huge moral conflict that I had between supporting his politics but not supporting him as a person. I just want the truth out there. I just want people to have a whole scope of who he is as a person. All right. And then I'll show you guys. The Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran has linked some of his behavior to mental health struggles and alcohol abuse. But he says he's changed and has denied previous claims that he was abusive to women. Roscoe told Politico that she connected with Plattner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said that he had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Plattner came up the stairs to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and started grabbing her while she repeatedly told him to stop and she wasn't interested. She said that she smelled alcohol in his breath and believed that he was almost blackout drunk because Plattner ignored her protest and continued to grab her after knocking over an antique sewing kit, spilling small needles everywhere. I'd been telling him these words like, no, don't, she recalled. And the look on his face and realizing what was happening, I just realized that, like, I'm in a situation where there's no consent here. She tried to separate herself from Plattner by telling him she couldn't be in the room anymore, after which he followed her to the bedroom and had sex with her against her will. Okay, just write it how it is and say, thank you for not watching the Jake Tapper video. I can't, dude. She said he also ejaculated inside of her despite her telling him not to do so. She wasn't using birth control at the time. She went to clean up and she said when she returned, he had fallen asleep. She contemplated waking him up to kick him out, was worried he could hurt someone driving in the state that he was in. Following morning, she said he tried to put his arm around her and she pushed him away. She said she asked him whether he remembered what happened. And according to her, Plattner said that he didn't remember. She told him to leave and never contact her again. She said she waited several weeks until she got her period to ensure she wasn't pregnant, sent Plattner a private message on Instagram saying that the encounter was not consensual and that she did not want to hear from him ever again. She had no further contact with him after that, she said, and Roscoe said she later deleted all her text and social media correspondence with Plattner as she tried to move on from the assault, and said she has not been able to recover the Instagram messages she sent him about the incident. In the weeks after the alleged assault, she said that she considered going to the police but struggled with the shock and confusion about what had happened to her and didn't file a police report. Even as time passed, she said she felt uncomfortable potentially telling a police officer about such a personal experience and feared retaliation from Plattner. At first, she confided only in her therapist, who she continues to see. I'm 99% sure, by the way, that the Reddit comment was about this specific assault. Yeah. By the way, the other thing that was fucking insane was that Plattner had like a Reddit account where he had like talked candidly about all of the things that all of his opinions. And then he deleted his account, but a lot of the comments are still up there. And the shit that he said was insane. Like, he said that sexual assault victims are just like regret victims. And corroborated like half this shit. She showed Politico recent emails with her therapist in which Roscoe explained she was talking about the media about her relationship with Plattner and the sexual assault / rape using an abbreviation for sex. Okay. In the message, she was not ready to go public and was seeking help corroborating her account and conversations she was having with reporters on condition of anonymity. Her therapist responded that Roscoe shouldn't have to speak publicly about a traumatic incident in order to be believed without referencing details of any particular incident. The therapist, who Politico agreed not to name in her request, declined to comment when reached on Monday. She also shared details about the alleged assault to the man she dated after Plattner, who she began seeing in 2022. The man who was granted anonymity out of concern for his privacy told Politico that Roscoe had told him bits and pieces about a bad experience with Plattner before confiding the full details of what happened in 2023. His account of what Roscoe told him about the incident matched with what she said to Politico. She shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with an acquaintance in 2023, about a year and a half after the assault, and well before Plattner launched his political career, in which she cautioned the acquaintance against getting involved with Plattner. In the messages, she said she had ended up in a bad situation with him, describing him as consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk. Reached by Politico, the acquaintance said she received the message but declined to comment. And it's these text messages saying it's her telling this other person that's thinking about being with Plattner long before his political campaign. I saw your post about oysters the other day. I feel morally obligated to warn you if you were anything more than just friends with Graham. But if you're not, then I'll shut up for now and give you the scoop sometime. LOL. Just friends. Would love the scoop though. Is he still engaged? I was working on fixing up a friend. Oh, I have an idea with who. Oh, girl, I think her name is, and this is, I guess, some of the screenshots. I assume maybe they post some more of them later. The friend to whom Politico granted anonymity due to fear of social and professional backlash recalled Roscoe telling her about the incident, including that Plattner had been very drunk and wouldn't take no for an answer. Oh, there's a button to the right of the screenshot. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like a fucking boomer. There are more screenshots here. Okay, and then they're just talking about the timeline. Okay, and then here it is. What's his deal? Should I not fix up my friend assuming he's single? And she says, he can be charming and funny, and he's a decently intelligent person. He's not all bad, but I ended up in a bad situation with him, and I will very politely call him consensually careless at times. When drunk, plus PTSD. I knew about the PTSD. He lies also. And then the other person says, forces himself on people? Question mark. And she said, one thing that grossed me out after him and I had dated was that I saw his profile on OkCupid, and that site asks a lot of questions. And one of the questions was, if your partner told you they had over 100 sexual partners, what would your response be? And his response was, that's not that many. So that super grossed me out, thinking he's probably slept with a ton of people, doesn't listen to you when drunk. ... This person reacted with a downvote. You basically have to admit being a victim for people to give a fuck. Nobody wants to be seen or think of themselves as a victim. It's a horrible situation. Well, the problem is that even if you give up anonymity and you become known as a rape victim, people still won't believe you, but you still have to carry this burden everywhere you go. The friend to whom Politico granted anonymity due to fear of social and professional backlash. Okay, and then, yeah, they corroborated this. Like, this is pretty... Like, what is the justification for these messages? Well, she must have known secretly that he was going to be running for Senate in 2026. And so she started planting the seeds that he was a rapist to other people. Like, what? And like, huh? All right. I am scared too, but eventually we're going to look at some of the coverage of some other people. Mental gymnastics people to do to pretend like all of this is orchestrated. It's like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, let me pull up the articles talking about his Reddit post. This is not the play, man. Devil's advocate would say that she was just jealous and trying to sabotage future relationships. If she was trying to do that, she wouldn't set herself up as like a rape victim. The way that people sabotage relationships is by saying that the other person's a cheater. That's like, that would be like, I'm sorry. Like, that's an insane direction to take it. Where were we at? On December 27th, 2015, Plattner posted on Reddit, 4 tours as an infantryman in the Marines and then Army, did both Iraq and Afghanistan. It's hard to explain how much I enjoyed combat. It is both physically and intellectually challenging and incredibly exciting, especially the first few times. I was never a huge fan of killing, at least not for killing's sake, but I did love winning and that required killing. Combat was a really fulfilling experience. It's hard to explain how much I enjoyed combat. War was the most enjoyable experience of my life. In a January 2nd, 2020 post on Reddit, I guess it was a thread titled, "Why did you enlist in the Marines?" And Plattner posted, "I just wanted to have an adventure and kill some people." I can't believe that guy would violate someone's consent. By the way, how is this the first time I heard all this? Well, because, and this is, I want to read my post that I wrote because I spent a lot of time writing it to try and explain all of my positions to the best of my ability. Anytime anyone would try and talk about any of these issues and be like, hey guys, this doesn't really seem like someone who values like people's lives. I don't know. He doesn't seem to give a single shit about all of the brown and black people that, well, I guess mostly brown people in any of these Middle Eastern countries. He didn't seem to give a shit or value any of their lives. I don't know, man. This guy doesn't seem like, and then we have this one reporting of this guy basically violating this woman's consent by physically grabbing her, restraining her, putting her arm behind her back. I don't know, man. And talking to her and telling her how he would rape someone in dominance. I don't know, man. Maybe this is someone we should be a little bit more skeptical about. And then he has a fucking giant Nazi tattoo. And it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe we should be just like a little bit more skeptical of this. Just like a little. And everyone just ignored it because they were like, well, this must all just be smears. And I will say there were a couple of voices that actually did critically comment on these things and say that doesn't change his policies or doesn't change his political values or whatever. And those people, I don't have any like disdain for those people. I mean, they're just trying to like push for leftism in, I think, a misguided way. But the people who immediately wrote it all off as a smear campaign, I fucking can't, dude. I can't, man. I wrote this. I tried to put all my words or my thoughts into words. I plan to talk about it more on stream, but I really am grateful we have so many voices in leftist spaces that rang the alarm bells on the candidate with the Nazi tattoo that thought war was the most enjoyable experience of my life, quote, and told women that he would rape an intruder to establish dominance. Don't get me wrong. I understand why so many leftists insisted that his current political messaging and anti-genocide / anti-APAC stance should be more valuable than a few statements that were made in the past. I don't take issue with those who genuinely listen to the criticism on the left and believe that his previous comments were some edgy attempt at comedy, but that he was a changed person today. I do not and cannot understand, though, why so many self-proclaimed leftists took any negative reporting about Plattner and immediately insisted that it had to be a smear campaign. It was so depressing to see so many people I respect engage in this behavior. I don't want anyone to read this tweet and think that we need to lambast every leftist who made a mistake. I'd just rather be productive and have something good come from all of this. I hope the people who were quick to write off any anti-Plattner coverage use this as an opportunity to be a bit more cautious in the future when thinking whether or not to endorse someone that people of color and women of color are actively warning people about. Because, like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really get off on, like, and then we got to lambast this guy, and then we got to lambast this guy, and also this guy, and also this guy. I just don't care. Like, I think what I ended up doing was, like, I literally refused to watch Graham Platner coverage. Like, I was like, I can't. I'm not watching the majority report talk about Graham Platner. I'm not going to watch Kyle talk about Graham Platner. I didn't even want to watch Hasan talk about Graham Platner. I didn't want to watch anyone talk about Graham Platner. I was just like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry, man. Which I think what I said the one time I talked about it was, thank God I don't fucking live in Maine. Because I still think those are good leftist voices that use their platforms for good the vast majority of the time. But I'm like, still disappointed. I had no interest in hearing about Plattner. Yeah. And by the way, being wrong wasn't the issue. It was ignoring and slandering naysayers. Well, yeah, because I think, like, let me say two things. One, I think that there were a lot of people who didn't know all of the details of this stuff, that didn't know all the details about what he was being accused of and what he had said about his service and what women had said about him. I think a lot of people didn't know that any of this stuff was even, like, it was very difficult to find any sources on this information, by the way. I looked pretty hard to get it, and then I confirmed it. And it was very difficult to find. There's one video of him apologizing about previous Reddit comments that he had made, which confirmed that there is a Reddit account that has been deleted. And he did say, he said that he apologized for certain statements. And it was like, one of the statements was like him not respecting, like, veterans or something because he was being edgy about it or some stupid shit. But then that was him basically confirming that was in fact his account, but that account had like 400 other heinous things on it. There's one of the statements that he had made on Reddit was like him saying that, like, sexual assault victims just decide after the fact that it was rape. And so, like, it wasn't just the Nazi tattoo. It was all of this shit combined. It's like, dude, like, this is a bomb waiting to go off, man. Like, all of these things point to one clear root cause, which is guy who believes in hierarchical structures but thinks that he should be at the top of the hierarchical structure. All of those things make sense within that. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Obsessed with power? Well, yeah, I think another thing too, just in case people don't know, sexual assault and, like, rape is not about sexual desire. It's about dominance and control and power. Which is why when he, like, it lines up what she said lines up perfectly with what perpetrators of that crime do, which is, I wouldn't rape him in, like, a sexual way or in a gay way. I would rape him for dominance, which is accurate. That is why sexual abusers do what they do. Because maybe they don't have dominance in other places of their life, so they take it out on people that are weaker than them. He even said it, like, you really can't get any clearer than that. And then he repeats it again with all these other things where he's talking about, like, his time in combat, right? It wasn't just the Nazi tattoo, it was that the Nazi tattoo fit in with everything else. Exactly. What was I? I was going to say something else. Bingo on the hierarchical structures. I mean, and it was just, like, infuriating to see people just, like, and I really don't fault people who didn't know about all this stuff. And I don't fault people who thought that his political messaging was too valuable. I take issue with the people that immediately saw anything negative about Plattner and were like, we can just ignore that. That's all smear campaigns. Everything. It's got to be smear campaigns. It's like, you're not even going to read it. You're not going to, like, take it with a grain of salt. You're really? Not sure why people keep trying to smear Hasan about Plattner. Hasan was pretty open about stating that the reason he liked Plattner was for his policy position, but his ability to message those positions to Trump supporters. He never stated that Plattner's past was an issue. Well, yeah, and again, what I'm saying is, it made me mad to see people be like, yeah, everything in the past, he's changed. He's a changed person. It's like, dude, there are certain things that are hard to ignore. Fundamentally believing in hierarchical structures, you're not changing that overnight, man. Like, I don't know. And it's funny too, because even in his final messaging, his video talking about dropping out, he's still giving the middle finger to Democrats and to his voters. He's saying, well, I'm not, if you're not going to have me there, if I don't get to be at the top, well, I hope we don't fucking win. I hope we don't flip the House. Or sorry, the Senate. And it's like, oh, okay. So you're just admitting that that's who you are. Okay, great. Hasan was not working with his campaign. I don't think I saw Hasan working with his campaign. You guys can link me if I'm mistaken or something. The thing that I don't like about, let me see if I can pull it up before I comment. One sec. The most annoying thing so far is that has been coming out of the Hasan did this, Hasan personally did this, it's the same exact people who said that everything Hasan did was in fact not an endorsement of Kamala. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to you if you're a fucking bad faith actor on this. And you're just, if your account is just dedicated to smearing Hasan, and he did more for Kamala than he ever did for Plattner, but that wasn't endorsing Kamala, but this is endorsing Plattner, you're a bad faith actor and your opinion is worthless. Congrats. Like I said, it's always the exact same voices right now that are going after Hasan on this. Like, girl with the microphone, notable for her. Does she not know that public opinion does not equal court of public opinion does not equal actual court? How many of y'all gave to Plattner because Hasan told you to do so? I've never asked anyone to donate to Plattner, nor have I campaigned with him. LMAO, what the fuck is this hallucination? And then this community note kept going up and down and up and down and up and down because it doesn't disprove what he said. Hasan here saying, I didn't ask people to donate and I didn't campaign with him. And the context is, he publicly endorsed him as Team Plattner and his GO and defended him on stream. None of these things are saying, amplified his campaign, launch video sources confirm he backed the campaign before reversing. None of these things say that he donated or campaigned with him. What? He didn't argue that he didn't say those things. What? Also, these are the exact same people, by the way, who are saying he never endorsed Kamala Harris. It's like, okay, so he did more for Kamala Harris, but he never endorsed Kamala Harris, and he's the reason we have Trump. Hasan personally caused Trump, but also he personally endorsed Plattner. Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. I think some people are mixing up Hasan saying veterans can be redeemed when Plattner comes up. He uses Plattner as a jumping pad for the veteran convo. I don't even think he's talking about that. I think we're talking about a separate conversation. Hasan also calls Fox News his GOAT. Like, that's not an endorsement. He calls Candace Owens his GOAT. Like, what? That's amazing. I mean, again, it's like bad faith actors, man. And yeah, this. Okay, so I wanted to show this. This has been, and again, it's like, I hope I'm explaining the position to the best of my ability. It's just like the people who wrote it off, I understand critical support. I understand that, saying, hey, this is not stuff that we should necessarily hand wave, and we should keep a close eye on someone like this. And people ringing the alarm bells are not wrong to do that. I don't understand people being like, well, yeah, how do we know that this isn't just a massive smear job, huh? Hasan endorsed Janet Mills more than Plattner? Yeah. Yeah, like, if anything, you guys know who I'm the most depressed by? Kyle Klensky. Because I know Ryan Grimm made some horrible comments. I'm, like, trying to pull them up. And low-key, I didn't appreciate the way that, like, Dropsite smeared Abu Ghazali. Low-key. That was a crazy play by them. And I still kind of do not forgive that. Because, like, the fact that they instead of, like, reaching out to a progressive candidate and saying, hey, like, you need to drop this staffer that's super giga conservative, they did, like, a hit piece on her. And it's like, and that's when I stopped. That's when I fell out of love with Dropsite. I was like, because I had no issue with Ryan Grimm and Dropsite doing a story on her comments about Taiwan. I did have an issue with them blasting that a staffer that she had like conservative tweets up instead of reaching out to her and being like, hey, we're trying to get progressive candidates to win. You need to drop, I don't know where the fuck you got this staffer. You need to drop them immediately. Like, it was just so like insane to me. I was like, are you fucking serious? And that's when I was like, I'm good. I'm good on Ryan Grimm. I'm good on Ryan Grimm now. I'm good, actually. Yeah, no, I'm good on that. And now this, I'm like, wait, okay, so they made another tweet. Hold up.
And
Ryan Grimm is a rapist apologist covering for his friend Plattner. Yes, I know he's questioning the reporting. He's lying by using his critique as cover to defend Plattner, even suggests Plattner was in fact invited in.
If you listen closely there, that she said, we were texting back and forth, and he took something that I said as an invitation to come over. This is, they'd been dating off and on for about 2 years at this point. The follow-up from a normal person at that point is,
what did you say?
What'd you say?
Right.
Like, what was the thing that you said to him that he misunderstood? Now, let's take a look at how Politico reported
the 3-year-old baby misunderstood. Oh.
this. This is D8. This is how Politico first reported. So Razikote told Politico she connected with Plattner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Plattner came up the stairs, Razikote said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. So, Sagar, you read that, and most people in Washington who read that, they're like, that sounds like he broke in to the house, like uninvited, and then began a violent assault of her. Nowhere does Politico mention what she mentioned to CNN there, that she had said something in the text message exchanges that he mistook as an invitation.
And yes, Politico did intentionally shoddy reporting, Grimm using that as an opportunity to call her story into question. Like, the rest of the video is even worse than this. Is it still up? There's no way that they haven't taken it down by now, right? I know it was like a full 8-minute video, but I didn't get a chance to like save it or whatever. There's no way they kept it up, right? That would be insane if it's still up. Oh, Lord, I think it's still up.
Joining us now is State Representative Dave Morales, who is a candidate for Providence mayor and may be the next kind of DSA-backed mayor after New York and Seattle. Are there any others that we know of?
Well, we have to keep the movement going as of right now. I think those are the prominent examples that we have.
Stop speaking. Stop. Speak when spoken to, Lloyd. I think it's this one. All right, let's listen.
A key detail from its reporting around the Graham Platner sexual assault allegations we have learned. Let's take a listen to how Jenny Razikote, the accuser of Graham Platner, described how the evening began in her interview with Jake Tapper on CNN.
It was a night where him and I were texting back and forth, and he had taken something that I said as an invitation, and that's not how I meant it, and I quickly clarified. And he sent a message back indicating that he would come over, and I said, no, don't come over. Like, I'm not in the mood, don't come over. And I was more stern with that message. And then I didn't hear back from him. So I thought that meant he got the message or gave up on it or whatnot.
Okay, Sagar, so there was no follow-up from Jake Tapper. If you listen closely there, that she said, we were texting back and forth, and he took something that I said as an invitation to come over. This is, they'd been dating off and on for about 2 years at this point. The follow-up from a normal person at that point is,
what did you say?
What'd you say?
Right.
Like, what was the thing that you said to him that he misunderstood? Now, let's take a look at how Politico reported this.
You guys know when I've said, like, there are leftists in this space. There are heinous sacks of shit in here. Not like in here. Actually, probably the least likely place to find them is someone who watches women. But there are some heinous sacks of shit, and I learned it very early. And I'm not talking about the people who go 0-10 in my fucking mid lane. I'm not talking about those guys, although those guys are definitely in here. I'm talking about the ones that are like, well, leftism needs to prevail no matter what. So who cares if some women got raped? Like, the first time I ran into one of these people, I was like, you're not real. Like, you're fucking with me. Like, you wouldn't say you're joking. Like, that's too fucking crazy. Like, that's too insane. Like, you have to be joking with me. And it's like, they're not joking. They're totally serious. It's like, hey, moron, if you believe in hierarchical systems, you cannot be a leftist. You fucking idiot. And once you start doing apologia, I know who you are. I know who you are. It just invalidates any criticism of Trump, Kavanaugh, Hegseth that any of these people have made for literally years. Yeah. Like, this is insane. Like, let's just keep watching. Did you change your opinion about Kyle? I hate it when I came here and see you playing a video of him. I am going to ban you because you type in a way that annoys me. But I already said in my post that I'm disappointed in a lot of leftists. I'm disappointed in Kyle Kulinski the most. I'm disappointed in the Majority Report. I'm really disappointed in Emma Vigeland. I'm disappointed in a lot of people because I felt like they just didn't take any of this stuff as seriously as they should have. And they were so eager to support Plattner because they didn't want to come off as like, I guess, like wreckers or whatever. It didn't feel like they felt like they were uncritically supporting him. And it felt like anytime an accusation came up that they just described it as like a smear. And I was very disappointed in that. That doesn't mean that I think that like, I think we should hate them forever and we should never watch them and we should always make sure that they're never allowed in any space. I would just like to see, I don't know, an apology for discarding brown and black voices and women's voices in the space. And I'd like to see an improvement going forward. That's what I want to see. Like, I'm just not of the opinion that like Majority Report did apologize. I did see that. And we'll talk about that. And I respect that she did that. But yeah, that's it. I don't know if that's too much to ask for. It's just the dismissive nature of the self-proclaimed leftists that was really saddening. Like, I think we can listen to these criticisms and say like, okay, I don't think that this meets the threshold for dropping a candidate. I don't think that that meets the threshold. Like, I think that this candidate is the best progressive candidate in Maine and blah, 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 blah. But that's not what, like, I saw so many videos of them being like, of so many of these people being like, another smear campaign by the right, another smear. And it's like, guys, like, what the fuck? Can we not do that? Can we just... I think there was also some cognitive dissonance in this happening at such a momentous time for their ideology. It's a difficult pill for people to swallow, not that it excuses it. Correct. All right, continuing. Let's watch this shit. However, the shit that I've seen of Ryan Grimm is like, actually, I'm pretty done with Ryan Grimm.
This is D8. This is how Politico first reported. So Razzicoat told Politico she connected with Plattner on the dating app Bumble in 2019 and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said she had exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Plattner came up the stairs, Razzicoat said, to where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and that she wasn't interested. Mm-hmm. So, Sagar, you read that, and most people in Washington who read that, they're like, that sounds like he broke in to the house, like uninvited, and then began a violent assault of her. Nowhere does Politico mention what she mentioned to CNN there, that she had said something in the text message exchanges that he mistook as an invitation. They just say, and elsewhere in the article, they say he was, quote, uninvited. It turns out, and we have learned, that Politico definitively, at the time of publication, knew precisely what Jenny had texted to Graham that he, according to her, mistook as an invitation to come over. And we know this because the Washington Post also interviewed Jenny Razzicoat. And Jenny told the Washington Post, because she's being honest. She's laying out all of the details, which is how it should be. You lay out all the details and then you let the the readers, the public, the voters say, okay, we have all the different facts. Right. Here's how we interpret this scenario. So good for her for being transparent.
I totally agree with you, and I want to say that up at the top. Yes. This is in no way an attack on her. This is about how I believe that the media has handled this story.
She was truthful
from the beginning
about this. She doesn't. Right. She doesn't have the text messages anymore. Plattner apparently doesn't have the text messages anymore. So we're going by her memory of what they are. And to her credit, she divulged the details of the text messages from that evening, and to the she divulged it to the Washington Post. The Washington Post.
Do you guys see what he's doing? He's literally trying to discredit her by saying, well, he must have mistook something, and now I'm going to ignore the part where she said explicitly, do not come over. I am not interested. Like, fuck you. Fuck you. You are scum. You are oh my God.
Reaches out to the Plattner campaign for comment, good for the Washington Post, and in their request for comment, they mention that Jenny had been texting him talking about a massage earlier. And so the Plattner campaign sees this, and they go back to Politico, and they say, apparently there's some more context here about like the back and forth. Like, do you know about these text messages? The reporter then exchanges messages with the Plattner campaign. Those messages have been now circulating in Maine politics, in Maine political circles. I obtained a copy of those. I was able to authenticate them with sources with knowledge of them. And here is what the Politico reporter said to the campaign. Jenny Ratzkott had been, quote, texting Plattner about needing her glute massaged. That detail didn't make our story. Right. Glute massage. So within about a half an hour of getting this glute massage text, Plattner is in the house. Now, she says she followed up. No, don't come. Because he texted back. So he's wasted, clearly. He gets this message. I need my glute massage. Right. He comes over. He texts back, I'm coming over. And she's like, wait, don't come over. She says, don't come over, don't come over. This is Maine. He's not taking the subway. Like, so he's drunkenly driving over there. Yes. Comes into
the reason Politico didn't cover that detail is because it's not a relevant detail when he was on top of her and she said, no, please stop. No, get off me. Stop. Do you understand how that's an unimportant detail?
The house. And then
Your Honor, she was talking about wanting a glute massage, so I legally had to rape her. Oh, obviously, yeah. Okay.
And then she says he's grabbing her on the couch. Where's
she saying no?
Right. Where's he grabbing her? Like, is he like immediately starting the glute massage or whatever? Right. Anyway, the Washington Post, to its credit, included a version of the detail. We could put up Washington Post at D7. One night in November or December 2021, she said she texted him to say that she could use a massage. She said she did not intend it as an invitation, but he interpreted it that way, immediately replying to say he would come right over. She said she wrote back twice, telling him not to. The Post was not able to review the alleged messages or independently verify them. Ratzkott said she later deleted them soon after the incident. So Post didn't include the glute part, but did mention the massage to their credit. But because the Politico published first, I didn't even know the Washington Post reported on this.
Exactly, and I think that's why this is important. So there's the most important part, and let's just zoom out, because this does potentially explain why a drunken Plattner enters the home. Right. It stops there, because...
No, you want to know why it didn't matter that he showed up? Because they had previously had an intimate relationship. I wasn't confused. I wasn't like, why would he show up? I was already like, oh, okay, like, they were intimate before, they had already, like, messaged on Bumble or whatever. Maybe she gave him her keys or like whatever. The door was unlocked. I like, okay, whatever it is. Okay, so he just showed up. I don't know. Maybe I've had friendships where people can just like knock and come over. Like, that's not out of this world. Like, it's not so unreasonable that I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I wasn't confused about that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe they were together for some period of time, whether that was like just like a friends with benefits thing or whatever, something casual. So maybe he showed up and he didn't get the text messages or whatever. But it's like nobody cares about that part, and nobody's covering that part, because the part that matters is the fact that she told him, no, stop, in person, and he didn't stop. Covering anything else is a fucking irrelevant waste of your fucking time.
That's where the rest of the evening and her account of the evening, it no longer accounts for. But it does explain a detail. And I think what was key to the understanding generally that all of us had was that it did genuinely appear as if Plattner had been told explicitly not to come over there, understood that to be the case, broke into the home effectively. Entering a home unannounced, and which just whether it's unlocked or not, is a full-blown crime. I mean, and I do think that that's part of why we need to assess this very seriously. The very definition of what Jenny has alleged here is a full-blown gross sexual assault Class A felony in the state of Maine with statute of limitations for 20 years. That's what she is alleging, which carries a significant prison sentence for like decades potentially in prison. And that is my understanding of how I need to evaluate what is being alleged here. I want to make that clear. Now, if I were then to submit to due process or something like that in a trial, and I saw something like that, it would significantly change, again, my understanding of how the event were to begin. This does not in any way say that she is lying about what then transpired.
Wow. You are a sack of shit. Both of these people are sacks of shit. Ryan Grimm especially. Oh my fucking God. And then he decided to go on Twitter and post through the pain. Politico knew at the time of publication precisely what Raska was texting to Graham Platner, but deliberately omitted it from their article. According to the lead Politico reporter on the story, she told Platner she needed her glute massage. She told her he was coming right over. She responded by telling him no, not to, but he came over quickly. Whether this detail is important to you or not is a shocking breach of journalistic ethics by Politico and CNN, not to include in their coverage. Story at drop site to follow. Replying to his tweets with, "This makes me not want to use Dropsite anymore. I will hereby remove all of my funding for Dropsite and never support Dropsite ever again, so long as they are attached to you. Every time you mention Dropsite, I would like to remind you that I am no longer a subscriber of Dropsite, and I hate Dropsite news now." And I am not joking. That is how every single Ryan Grimm tweet should be responded to. And then like people are resurfacing this shit. Wait, sorry. First of all, that was like one tweet in like a sea of tweets as he was co-posting through the night. If Politico had in fact reported that a text she sent was misinterpreted as an invitation, that would be different, but they didn't. Jenny was right to share the information with the media. Politico was wrong to not include it and imply a break-in. It is absolutely not an invitation for rape. Totally agree. As a writer, would you have included this detail in your story? Totally agree. If she was trying to make something up, she would not have shared that detail. I made the point on the segment today. Yeah, no, dude, keep tweeting. Keep tweeting. This is your lawyer speaking. This is your PR person speaking. Keep tweeting. Yes, keep tweeting. Burn all of your goodwill straight to the ground. You don't need it anymore. You don't need it where you're going, man. Keep posting. Keep posting through it, man. Keep going. Yes, King. This makes you look so good. So good, man. Yes. And then I saw this. I don't know how I never saw this. I guess I'm not plugged in enough to have seen this. Ryan Grimm says he's glad Plattner won because it's forcing progressives to confront bigotry against white men, comparing it to people coming out of the closet. Wait, what's it called when you... Oh, anagram. People anagramming his name. I don't know if you can use that as like a verb. People anagramming his name to be Aryan Grimm is amazing. Stop. And by that I mean don't stop. Why is the audio not playing? I would like to listen to this clip now, Twitter, please. One volume, please. It's not muted.
Early 2010s.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, for a long time. And
it's a flip side of back in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And 2000s, when the gay rights movement was gaining steam.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What
the Barney Frank argument.
What people discovered, is that you've got a gay uncle. You actually, once people started coming out of the closet.
The Andrew Sullivan argument.
Yeah, once people started coming out of the closet, like, oh, that guy's gay? I love that guy. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
And my life is fine around him. This is the reverse for liberals. It's like, this is a white guy, and he's actually pretty nice.
A big burly combat vet.
Big burly combat vet.
Someone you could see with family. Joe Rogan.
And he's fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Like the current cultural divorce between kind of progressives and white men is so like stark that it's just culturally, morally, ethically wrong, but also just pragmatically from a political perspective, you can't build a national party.
Yeah.
If you assume every white guy
or every white guy with a deep voice is a combat vet or whatever, is like out to get you.
Or if you talk about him in a way that implies he does have sort of built-in problems.
Right.
So
just inherent toxicity or something.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone criticizing Plattner was because of the Nazi tattoo, man. In fact, I didn't see anyone say, I just don't like Plattner. His skin color bothers me. I did not see anyone, and I don't know anyone who said that at any point. His voice is too deep and his skin tone is too light and it bothers me. Are we serious? How have I never seen this clip? Oh my God. I have no words. I'm speechless about this. The only time I saw anyone bring up his race was to say that no black or brown candidates would ever get so far with as many red flags, which is just factually correct. No one said, like, I'm not going to vote for him because he's white. I didn't see anyone say that. Maybe there's like one Twitter schizo that wrote that. I don't know. But I didn't see anyone say that. I saw people say, I'm sorry, I can't overlook his comments about his war experience, his deployment. I'm sorry, I can't overlook the tattoo. I can't. It's not just something I can just ignore. But like, maybe, okay, I didn't grow up as a white person. I like that how that suggests I could be a white person now. I'm not white, so I don't know. But like, is there like a Nazi tattoo factory that every white person has to go to growing up, and they have to resist, and you get told like, come on, you got to get it. You got to get the giant Nazi tattoo on your chest. You have to do it. And you're like, no, I will resist. And everyone's peer pressuring you or something. Maybe that happens to all white people in this country. And I didn't know about that. And if that's true, I'm sorry for being, dismissive of your experiences. But I have not. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck is going on, man? Check your privilege. Sorry, all right, my bad. Is Ryan Grimm so desperate for a progressive in Maine that he's trying to make excuses for Plattner just to stay in the race, or do you think he genuinely believes this shit? I mean, other people are resurfacing this shit that he said in 2007. In 2007, Ryan Grimm shamed Jessica Valenti for standing with good posture while being an attractive woman, claiming doing so made her breasts the focal point of the photo, then added the line, Valenti isn't shy about her body. I've juxtaposed Grimm's texts with the text pic of Valenti. Let's take a closer look at those breasts. A post about a female blogger who posed for a photo in front of Bill Clinton. Jessica Valenti, who runs and blogs on feministing.com, is standing at an angle with a slight arch in her back, making the focal point of the photo, whether intentional or not, her breasts. Valenti isn't shy about her body. She just published a book called Full Frontal Feminism, A Young Woman's Guide to Why Feminism Matters. Is it this one? This photo is in so low quality. Is this the photo? She's also not arching her back. She's like kind of hunched over, low key. Her shoulders are like, let me try and imitate. Like you can see, let me move over. Move my hair to the side so we can try and imitate. Let's see. I think I have breasts. Let's try this. She's kind of like doing more like this. She's kind of slouching a little. I'm trying to imitate it to the best of my ability. She's kind of slouching a little bit. This would be like fully trying to like arch. So, and also, what would be wrong with that? Wait, there are other people in this room? All I see are two floating breasts. Don't let Ryan Grimm see this. Dude, Ryan Grimm is going to see this clip of me and he's going to be like, her breasts are so big and they're the focal point of the room and it bothers me. And it bothers me. And the Clipper channels are going to be like, viewership was down, so Denim started throwing it back. This is like the world's biggest self-report on the planet. She's wearing like the most unflattering gray shirt, but she made the mistake of having breasts. Classic mistake. Up there with like driving while black. Classic mistake. It's a very easy mistake to make. I understand. Sometimes you foolishly have breasts in a photo that are completely covered. And you should know better, you fucking whore. You consider that? You consider knowing better? You fucking slut? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you take them off and leave them at home like you should? I have no words. I have no words. That's amazing. I'm sorry. Like, this is... You don't go on this generational crash out because you're desperate for a progressive candidate. You go on a generational crash out like this when you're a misogynistic piece of shit that cares more about your fucking white men being destigmatized so progressives can confront bigotry against white men. Amazing. Like, you can't win with these losers. Have breast, then you're a slut. You want top surgery, mentally ill? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. So it's just, I'm sorry. Like, this is like, you literally think white men are the most oppressed people. I don't know how else you can look at this and see anything other than this. I can't believe this clip is real.
It's a flip side of back in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And 2000s, when the gay rights movement was gaining steam.
No, this isn't AI, right? This is real?
The Barney Frank argument?
What people discovered, is that you've got a gay uncle. You actually, once people started coming out of the closet.
The Andrew Sullivan argument.
Yeah, once people started coming out of the closet, like, oh, that guy's gay? I love that guy. He's great. And my life is fine around him. This is the reverse for liberals. It's like, this is a white guy, and he's actually pretty nice.
What? Pretty nice for a white guy is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so discombobulated from this. The only time I've changed my mind about a white person is when they can handle spice really well. And I'm like, damn, okay, white boy. You got swag. Okay. And that's the only time. Like, it's just, like, what is happening in this guy? Where does your brain have to be that you're like, progressives, they just don't like white people. They just don't like us at all. Nobody wants to hang out with me. I don't get it. It's just like so mean. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The mythical good white man. It's just so bizarre.
A big burly combat vet.
Big burly combat vet.
Someone you could see with Joe Rogan.
And he's fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Like the current cultural divorce between kind of progressives and white men is so...
Okay, I can't. That's enough. That's amazing. That is an amazing clip. Why are you guys as progressives? Why do you guys hate white people so much? Can you just explain to me that? I'm just glad Plattner's finally around so people can come around on white guys. Thank goodness. Thank fucking goodness, man. And then I like Dropsite quickly trying to do some fucking damage control. They deleted their old tweet. Yesterday they had tweeted out, I never worked for Blackwater, Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner. Wait, no, not this. Oh, this was a separate post. Grim whining about journalistic ethics of reporting on Plattner's rape allegations is rich when Dropsite News spent months laundering Plattner's Blackwater stint. Will y'all ever address that Plattner worked for its rebrand, Constellus, and openly hawks Blackwater merch instead of playing dumb? Oh. It's almost like it wasn't about the journalistic integrity for Ryan Grim, and it was about the fact that he didn't like seeing his fellow white man get accused of rape. Because, his buddy's a rapist. Yeah, it must have just not liked that. Wow. Yesterday, our post on Politico's reporting of sexual assault allegations against Graham Platner were intended to summarize reporting Ryan Grim discussed on breaking points regarding details Politico omitted from the story. Language of our post left the impression that text messages by Plattner's accuser, Jenny Raskog, are relevant to whether or not she was raped in any way, justified the alleged assault she described. That was not the intention, and that is not the position of Dropsite or Ryan. We genuinely value the feedback and criticism we've received from many readers and have deleted the post. More like you deleted the post because you were getting overwhelming amounts of negativity, you fucking lying sacks of shit. Whatever, dude. Fuck off, man. Literally fuck off. I can't, dude. I can't. I'm done. I'm done with Dropside. I'm done with Orion Grimm. Fuck those people. I'm open to anyone willing to apologize for like full-throated endorsement of Graham Platner and ignoring like the warning signs, but I'm sorry. If the first thing you do when it turns out that Plattner is not running anymore and he's dropping out and everyone's told him to drop out because, you know, he's being accused of being a fucking rapist, and your first response is, I feel like Politico should have been reporting differently on this story. Like, fuck you, man. This is all I gotta say on that, man.
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
I wanted to ask, given that you have a sort of ascendant role in the Democratic Party, could you talk about the Maine Senate race? Do you think that Graham Platner should drop out of the race? And do you have any intention of endorsing any candidates in competitive races outside of New York, El Said, or anyone else?
No, I believe that it's time for him to drop out of the race. And when it comes to my own endorsements, I've made 8 endorsements at the state and federal level. They've all been right here in New York City. I'm incredibly excited at the fact that they won their races, and that's where my focus is for now. Hey, how's it going, Sally?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
I wanted to ask, given that you have a sort of ascendant...
And it's that easy. Dude, so many people are getting timeouts today. I'm sorry, like, I have zero tolerance on... Just, like, use your brain for a second. Every single progressive candidate or progressive politician is telling Plattner to drop out. And you're like, well, do we know for sure? Go take 2 weeks off and come back when you can use your fucking brain, man. Come back when you can use it. I have no words. It's just, yeah. I really hope that...
story.
I wanted to watch this maybe as well, but I really hope that... First, I want to pull up Emma talking about it, because I think it's fair to give her not credit where credit is due, but rather I like to encourage behavior that I like. All right. And I think we should be encouraging these people to apologize and make amends. So I want to start there.
Everybody, I just wanted to jump on here to address the serious, credible allegations against Graham Platner. This story is devastating. I believe the victim here. I think that Graham should drop out of the race. He has betrayed many, many supporters by not being forthright about this. I would include myself in that. I believed his campaign when they said that there was nothing new coming out. And it looks like an awful, awful accusation, and a credible one has come out. Now, this movement has never been about one individual. Any candidate that takes up the mantle here should share Graham's belief, or the campaign's belief, in ending complicity in the genocide.
Sorry, 1 second.
In Gaza, Medicare for all, taxing billionaires, and more. But obviously,
I don't think it's this one.
Is a devastating development, and we'll be talking about it more on the Majority Report.
There's like a full segment. I want to find it. Also, remember, apologies are placeholders for promised changes in behavior. Correct. She apologized live. Yeah, I just need to find the actual video. Expecting apologies for pushing him before is wild. Woke shit. How about you try, like, for a moment, just considering. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying apologize for constantly calling anything against Plattner a smear campaign. It's about the way that a lot of these leftist commentators treated victims that had tried to come out and speak about it before, and treated any criticism as a smear campaign. It's not apologizing for picking someone that you thought was worth winning. I don't have any issue with that. I think saying, hey, yeah, his comments before were unacceptable, and I hear everything everyone is saying, but I do believe him when he says that he's changed, and every single policy that he's for is something I'm for, and I think he will benefit the people of Maine. There's no apology needed. You were willing to listen. You explained why your position hadn't changed, and now your position has changed. It's about it's about this shit that I took issue with. Honestly, it's in the very beginning.
war and death and other bad stuff. I've only made one other video about Graham Platner back in mid-November of 2025. He has been in the news quite a bit since then, but it turns out, I think I did a pretty good job in the original video covering all of the bases. So I didn't think it was necessary until now. Let me catch you up in case you missed everything until this moment. Last year, Graham Platner launched his campaign to win one of Maine's Senate seats for the Democrats. It's an important seat. It could shift control of the Senate to the Dems. Plattner is a former Marine who had a fairly progressive platform, like championing Medicare for all, criticizing U.S. aid to Israel, etc. So a lot of people, a lot of progressives were very excited to support him. And then his opposition went to work. First, someone exposed his Reddit account where a few years ago he blamed women for being raped and said that...
This is insane. This is a real Reddit post from him. Holy fuck, how about people just take some responsibility for themselves and not get so fucked up that they wind up having sex with someone they don't mean to? Men and women, you make a choice to consume enough of a substance to lose your self-control. So if you don't want to be in a compromising situation, act like an adult for fuck's sake. Rape is a real thing. If you're so worried about it, to buy Kevlar underwear, you think you might not get blacked out, fucked up around people you aren't comfortable with. You know what's crazy? It actually doesn't matter how many people get blacked out. You don't rape them! That's insane!
He wished he had been able to fight the Indians back when the United States was genociding Native Americans instead of the pointless wars he had to fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. By had to fight, he volunteered to fight them several times over. Plattner apologized for those Reddit posts, and then his opposition revealed he has an actual Nazi tattoo on his chest, which he got 19 years ago to celebrate fighting as a Marine in Fallujah. Instead of apologizing for the Nazi tattoo, Plattner made up the completely ridiculous story that he had no idea the tattoo was a very famous Nazi symbol, and it was on his chest for 19 years. Instead of criticizing this really obvious lie, among others he would tell, and calling on Plattner to step down and support a different progressive candidate 6 months before the primary, many prominent leftists repeated his lies and continued to promote Plattner to their audiences. In that original video, I specifically called out
we'll just start obviously
Ryan Grimm, but I've also noted, Hassan Piker, Kyle Kulinski, the Young Turks, and many other commentators that continued to support him. Anyway, here's how I wrapped up that video.
My own personal opinion is that he probably figured out what it was several years ago, but was also like, well, it's not like I can justify this to me, speaking to himself, and anybody who knows me knows I'm not a Nazi. So am I really going to go and pay for this thing to get all screwed up? That's my guess.
So you agree? You agree that Graham Platner is probably lying about not knowing he had a Nazi tattoo? Sam comes to the same conclusion I did, but he doesn't go the extra mile, the extra 12 inches, to wonder what it means to support a politician who lies that easily about a Nazi tattoo. He knew he had a Nazi tattoo. He knew he would face no consequences for it, and then he lied about it when he was finally facing consequences. That's your guy? Again, do I think Plattner is a Nazi, an anti-Semite? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think so. I do know that he's a walking PR disaster, and platforming him removes prominent leftists' ability to rightfully call out anti-Semitic dog whistles.
I'm linking the video. Excellent video. Amazing video. 10 out of 10. Rebecca Watson. And this is like, it's like the very dismissive nature of all of the criticism is just insane. I have no problem with people who, one, didn't know about this stuff. Like average everyday people who didn't know, because like no one was covering this stuff. But also the commentators who said, listen, if you vote for Plattner because he's the best option in Maine, I understand that. And, I encourage you to vote for whoever you think will bring the best policies. I think Plattner has a very suspicious record. I wish that we would have an actual DSA endorsed candidate. I wish that we would have a candidate that doesn't have this just like PR disaster waiting to happen. I don't want to vote for a candidate with a fucking Nazi tattoo. And we really should be using this as an opportunity to like push other candidates that maybe would have a better chance of winning instead of ignoring this stuff. But if this is the best we have, I understand, but also I don't want this candidate. And like, that's like, there's nothing in my eyes, there's nothing wrong with that stance. There's nothing wrong with that stance at all. I know other people would disagree with me and say, no, you shouldn't give any leeway at all. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I just think like you can get caught up in like, not the team sports of it, but like the team sports of it. And you can end up putting more eggs in a basket than you think that you just get so caught up and you want your guy to win so bad that you start just ignoring everything. Like people have blind spots. I understand. What Ryan Grimm did is like, goodbye, Ryan Grimm. Goodbye. Goodbye forever. That's incredible. That is literally incredible. That's amazing. Fuck you. Like, I've heard everything I need to. Versus something like this.
Obviously, I do feel a responsibility as a woman that, perhaps, I don't know, I'm still thinking about this, but I believe in redemption and restorative justice, and that is what had driven me to support Plattner despite some of his past. But when we're talking about
Hasan called him his goat, chat. Come on. Okay, let me say two things. One, I also think Hasan supported him too uncritically. I don't think he supported him uncritically, but I think he could have been more critical, to be very clear. But second, he calls Candace Owens his goat, all right? He says Fox News is his goat. I would take him describing someone as his goat with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure he says Trump is his goat. I'm pretty sure he said Biden was his goat. I think that's, you can criticize Hasan, and I would say I think he should have been more critical. I think he should have been a lot more critical of Graham Platner than he was. I think he could still be like, I think this is still the best candidate in Maine, but I think he should have been more critical. But saying like, well, you called him his goat, it's like, okay, all right. Wait, that's a meaningless statement. That's literally a meaningless statement. All right.
Forcible rape and sexual assault, obviously, there is no excuse.
He was critical of him, though. Listen to the words I'm saying. I said he should have been more critical. All right. What does that imply? That he was not enough.
And immediately once I read the story, I knew that he had to drop out of the race. And so I'm sorry if there are any women in the audience that feel that I failed them. I take that super seriously. I carry that with me. And I'm sorry. So, I still maintain that what was said in the New York Times was not disqualifying, but what is alleged here just absolutely is. And the not that it should matter given what the details were and what the corroboration is, but this individual, this woman who is accusing him, supports his politics, and that is why she was reticent to come forward in the first place. And I'm sorry if myself or anybody, I'm sorry if I contributed to that culture. And so I'm reflecting on that myself. Now, the national media is going to try to blame this on DSA. I'm already seeing this. He was not endorsed by DSA. Like Gonzalez in Colorado, you can't just call someone a DSA-style candidate.
Correct. Isn't there a part of the left had very few viable candidates, so it's better than nothing? I mean, I already addressed that point, so yes. Yes, there were red flags, but with no actual proof, no one could have actually known. I think that it's a little bit more than with no actual proof. I think someone's actions, combined with their words, combined with their Nazi tattoo, speaks on their beliefs on hierarchical structures and how they view other people. It's like, this is a pattern of behavior that is innate. And I don't think that, okay, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a bitch, so I'm just going to say it, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I don't think you realize that the people who you like admitted this and said, I think he changed. So there was proof that he believed in all of these hierarchical structures, which also, in the specific hierarchical structures that he believed in, would put women under men, and thereby making it so their consent is not important. But they saw that evidence of that belief system, and they said, I think he has changed. And they believed that he changed. Not that there was no proof, but that they believed that he was changed. So I think you should correct your statement there. It's my personal. There was also proof of personal growth. I mean, I would argue that there wasn't proof of personal growth. I would argue all he did was say the right things. I don't know that he actually proved any growth. He just said, like, and this is what I believe in, and I believe in all the good things. All right. In hindsight, true. So I'm not trying to, like, blast you. I'm not trying to, like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to, like, make this a hostile environment to chatters that are just trying to have a conversation. Because the chatters that are just straight up doing rape apologia, they're just getting banned. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't have any fucking, I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of my chat. But if you're just trying to have a conversation, I just think that, like, we could all do better. And I think that, like, he didn't do enough to get the level of support that he got and the lack of criticalness that should have been there. So yeah, that's my opinion. And again, you guys already know my stance. Like, I don't believe in burning leftists forever. There aren't that many, like, political commentators on the internet that, or just in general, progressive political commentators that exist, period, that I'm willing to just, like, throw the baby out with the bathwater. All right? Like, I'm not down for that. I don't want to just, like, okay, well, this person made this mistake this one time to throw them out. It's like, guys, we've got, like, 10, all right? Let's try and get them to change and improve. Oh, Ryan Grimm saw this and immediately started going on defense about how Politico was not reporting this correctly, and let's start poking holes in this story. Now you can get thrown out. Okay, fuck you. But if you see this and you're like, hey, I could have been better. I'm sorry. I contributed to this, which is what Emma Vigeland said here. I contributed to, like, this culture that makes women feel unsafe and makes them not feel like they can come out. And I shouldn't have done that. And I should be better. And I want to be better. Like, that's what I want. Okay. I think we can be critical and ask for more. That's all. I don't think that, I think that that's reasonable. I think that that's mostly pretty reasonable. If you double down on Plattner, I mean, we all know that Anna Kasparian is not a progressive at this point, but.
Because it places us in this unbearable position of having to adjudicate something that should have been adjudicated in a court of law if this actually took place. If someone entered my home and forcibly raped me, I would not allow the individual who forcibly raped me, that's violent, right? To remain in my home and sleep it off. But that is what she did. She alleges that he was so drunk that she didn't want to tell him to leave because he might harm someone on the road. He just forcibly raped you, right? Call the cops, or more importantly, get the hell out of the house. But she did neither one of those things. Neither one of those things. Yeah. Because it places us.
Didn't this lady leave the left because she felt like people on the internet didn't take her sexual assault seriously? Yeah, guys, you know, I wonder why the woman who was raped didn't immediately wake up the rapist who just raped her. Yeah. I wonder why. It must have been because she was chill. She was chill about it. That must have been it, right? Okay. That's amazing. That's incredible. I'm a trans woman. I didn't know my opinion of her could get any lower, yet here we are, says one chatter. You know, it can always go lower. It can always go lower. Like, it's also like, I'm sorry. Maybe this is too woke. I don't think it's too woke, but I'm always surprised. Maybe this is too woke. I'm not going to tell a rape victim what they need to do immediately after they're raped. That's fucking crazy. Like, do you fucking hear yourself? Well, you should have immediately alerted the police. You should have immediately gotten a rape kit done. You should immediately not feel any trauma or any concern or pain or discomfort. You should be a completely stiff robot, do everything correctly, 100%. It's like, it takes people years to process that they were even assaulted. Sometimes. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not writing a how to be the perfect rape victim guide. How about, oh yeah, and I guess if you were in their shoes, you would have done everything correct. Fuck you, man. Like literally fuck you, man. Like, I just have no words for that. I have no words, man. What more did you want her to do besides say, no, stop, don't come over, and when he was over, say, stop, get off me? Like, what? All right. I'm sorry. Like, I'm people who say that make me think that they've never experienced trauma. I blocked my sexual assault from my memory for years. I couldn't even acknowledge it without breaking down. I hate this lady so much. Jesus Christ, said Meowzelblub. Chad, I used to like, it's also like, this is a lighthearted story to help cut through some of the tension. There was a step in my house growing up, or like my apartment growing up, and I would like carry stuff. And I used to run a lot when I was younger, before I was a gamer. And I, more than once, I think at least 5 times, I would run, trip on the step, and then I would literally drop the entire gallon of milk on the floor, and then I would watch it. And then my mom would threaten to beat my ass and be like, what are you doing? Pick it up! And that's to say, I was so stressed in that moment, I couldn't move. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? This is when I was really young. This idea that, like, you need to respond perfectly every time to everything is, like, it's just insane. It's just insane. Especially when, like, I don't know, man. Personally, I wouldn't want to wake up the rapist in my house because I wouldn't want them to fucking rape me again. Just really quickly, I don't know why that's so, like, controversial to think, because that's what I thought immediately when I saw it. I was immediately like, yeah, I actually wouldn't want to interact with that person. So you literally cried over spilled milk? Yeah, I did. I spilled a really expensive wine bottle and I legitimately froze while it was pouring over because I was so stressed my parents would beat my ass. And that's us reacting to really simple things. That's like me reacting to dropping a liquid on the floor. And not even on carpet. It's on like linoleum or whatever. And I was so stressed, I couldn't react to that. This idea that it's like you would go through something actually traumatic. Because dropping something is not necessarily traumatic, right? Especially as a kid. But like actually going through something extremely traumatic where your consent has been completely violated by another person. And you expect them to act perfectly. Like, fuck. Like, literally, like, fuck you, man. Like, oh my God. You're scum. You are scum of the earth. You're so scum. Somebody needed to stop Anna there and say, I'm sorry. Did you just say the word let just now about a guy who sexually assaulted you by force? Harsh reality checks are sometimes called for. It's so insane. Personally, the only time you should be flaming people for reacting poorly is in team fights in video games. That's totally fair game, all right? I don't care how stressed you were. Grow up, all right? Go in, man. We're going to lose the point. Please, for the love of God. And I will yell at you for an hour afterward. I'm sorry. Being stressed isn't a good enough reason for you to be losing my fucking LP and my RP, man. That's not good enough. I need you to be better, man. I need you to be better. I will tell you an uninstall. What if I apologize? Not good enough. Not good enough.